Hey there, Tony Richardson here from Explode Creative. I'll take you through another caricature tutorial today. Thought we might try drawing Stephen Fry, just because he's got a fairly distinctive face, and he's also one of the most intelligent and excellent comedians in the world today. So, having a look at this, my first impressions, and that's the most important part of any start to a caricature, is your absolute first impressions, the first 2 seconds you see a face, before you start analysing it too much. So my first impressions of this guy is that his face has a pretty funky flow, like it kind of comes down like that, and because of the crooked nose it kind of comes down in a sort of a Harry Potter, Zorro type of feel. So I want to kind of do that with his head, kind of have that kind of zippy feel, just because that's part of the flow of his face, and I'm going to really play it up a little bit. Other first impressions, I think I might play up that crooked nose, of course, that's a big part of him. His cheeks, he's got some pretty laughy cheeks, so I'll pull those up. But probably the biggest part of his face is the chin. He's got quite a pronounced chin, so I'll be playing up the chin and making sure that's a very noticeable part of the caricature. Let's just give this a try then. Alright. First thing I want to do is start off with, I guess, the hair shape, and I want to start mapping out how big I want the chin. This will take some tweaking later on, but there it is for a template for now, I guess. Let's have a look at the ear. The ear isn't very prominent on this fella, so we'll just continue the hair down and have the ear kind of poke up a little bit like that. He's got a little bit of hair out the back of his head, so I won't kind of miss that out on that. I might just try and do the hairline so I can get a feel for where to put the rest of the features of the face. I've left a fair bit of forehead there because he does have some forehead. It's just mostly covered over by the comb over. Alright, starting off with the eyebrows and leaving a fair bit of space between the top of the head and the eyebrows is one way of keeping some forehead in there, because if I put these eyebrows up too far, we'll just lose a fair bit of forehead. I'm going to thicken up the eyebrows with a few more lines on top of them. Now I'm going to pull these eyebrows apart because I feel that on his face there's a fair bit of distance between the eyebrows. Alright, let's start off with the nose. Before we do the eyes, I think I might come to the eyes a fair bit last. Alright, let's play up that nose. Keeping that Z crooked feel. And this is you really want to remember all those kind of observations you made in the first 2 seconds of seeing someone's face, because you might actually forget them while you're drawing. And I'm pretty sure I'll forget a few things as well here, so it's okay. So he's got some pretty happy-go-lucky cheeks. I'll get those in, of course. And let's see what we've got here. His mouth is very understated in relation to the rest of his face. It's quite a small, quite a pursed mouth, so we'll just keep it quite small underneath his nose there. Now the reason I did the actual zigzags on his mouth really mattered here, because I was looking at the way his mouth turns up and then turns down, then turns back up. Turns up, turns back down, turns back up on his face. So those zigzags in his mouth are actually really a big part of his likeness. And of course, let's put in the bottom lip. He can kind of purse it a fair bit. And this secondary chin. Okay, now we can move on to, well, before we do the eyes, let's do some body. I think he's a bit of a bow tie guy, so I'll chuck the bow tie in there. Okay, we're kind of getting somewhere. Let's bring in the eyes. So, what is it about his eyes that strike you? I think for me, it's the shape of the eyes. And they're quite sunken into the sockets. Like there's some fairly big sockets that kind of poke out, but the eyes kind of sink into some kind of layers of skin there. So I'm going to keep his eyes kind of squinty, like how they look in this image here. And I'm going to do, of course, the folds of the eyes, but and I'm definitely following the shapes of his eyes, so the insiders of his eyes have a particular shape and you want to follow them instead of just drawing eyes in your own style. You want to actually follow those shapes because that'll give you an extra maybe 15% of likeness. You can grab a black swatch and just chuck some eyes in. I might come back to those eyes. But at the moment, remember we thought about those eye sockets and they're pretty pronounced, so I'll get those in. I think I might even pull his eyes up a little bit more, just super squintify them. Sometimes being too conservative with the exaggeration, you can miss out on a few excellent things. I think a really cool thing about caricature is that if you're not sure about one feature, if it doesn't quite look like the character, you can really size it down and make it not so much a noticeable part of the face. And then all your other features like the nose and the chin and stuff, they'll all come forward and they'll all combine to make it more look like the subject. And meanwhile, the eyes that I weren't that happy with, they've been toned down a fair bit. And so they don't command so much attention, they don't kind of take any likeness away from it. Let's do those crow feet. And he's got kind of a thing going on over there. How can we play it from there, do you think? Oh, you know what? Let's do a little divot towards the mouth there. I think that's part of him. You can't really see it on these images, but he's got a fair bit of a divot. And you can really just achieve that by making a fishhook shape. Now I'm going to really play around with this head shape. I think might be fun to kind of triple out a little bit. Okay. A square top. He doesn't really have a square top. Alright, so let's change down a couple of stroke widths. And I'm just gonna add some, I don't know, fairly unnecessary detail. Just because I think having extra small stroke widths, as well as the thick strokes, can really add to the quality of an image. Different stroke line widths, fantastic. Okay, I'm happy with that, so let's just, I suppose I could do a little bit of a top wrinkle, but I'm not sure about that bum chin on the nose. I think it's just taken a little bit too far. So. I'm ready to just do a little bit of a undercoloring, and I've just got a new layer underneath. Just gonna swipe a really loose skin color in here and probably just finish it off there. So if you guys have any other faces, celebrities, people you know that you want to try drawing, some faces you're not too sure about, which parts to exaggerate, we can shoot me a message, shoot me a comment, we can explore it. Caricature is extremely fun because there's so many different ways you could approach a subject. This guy, you could even have exaggerated the forehead more than the chin, and you'd still probably get his likeness. I could have made his eyes super duper squinty like Clint Eastwood's squint. And it probably would have improved the likeness. It's all pretty interesting. Luckily, Stephen Fry, you know, in this case, Stephen Fry has no shortage of features on which to, interesting, unique features on which to latch onto. And just remember that whole first impressions thing is super duper important. Because that's just the moment when your actual perceptions of someone's face is still in your conscious before it just gets slapped into your subconscious, and then you can't really recall it too much. Stephen Fry, I mean, his cheeks are pretty red, right? Let's grab a red kind of swatch, chuck it down to, what, 20% opacity. I suppose we could thicken up the eyebrows a little bit more, if need be. I mean, just drawing extra strokes on top of the original eyebrows. Is there anything else we can do here? Probably not. I mean, that's probably enough for this tutorial. I could go a bit further and put some hair detail in there, but I mean, really, I guess you guys are just here to learn the basics. Go ahead, go nuts, add some shading, add whatever you want to add to it. I like to add little white spots of reflection. And I don't really add them randomly either, like I look at the subject's face and see on what parts of the face light is being reflected. And it can add, it's not just like a feature, it can actually add likeness, which is cool. Any extra likeness is always a boon. Alright, well, I'll leave it there, and thanks for watching, and catch you next time. Do comment on who you want to see drawn, or who you want to try and draw, or anything else you want to learn, and I'll see you later on.